Going live in one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Luo English Dictionary channel. Today is the 17th of where? Of December 2022, and I would like to welcome you to the live channel, today's live broadcast. And I'm just organizing my broadcast so that I start looking organized, guys. Thank you so much for those who've been with us. And I'm hoping that this will be a nice experience together. As you celebrate in your, I know your team has just won. My team has not won anything so far, and it has been sent away. So hello and welcome. Erokamano ahinya kendo arwaki e mbui mar Luo English Dictionary. Kawuono en tarik 17 dweno mar 12 higa mar gana achiel kod piero higa mar gana ariyo kod piero ariyo gariyo. So today we're going to talk about Practical Luo. So what we're going to do is that we are going to just have some, I have some words that you can use in a, on a garden or in a farm. So I want to just put the words together so that you can be able to use them in a farm and see how to work around the words. So that's why I said it's Practical Luo, or puonjri dho Luo ma inyalo tiyo godo. Puonjri dho Luo ma inyalo tiyo godo. So it's a farm setup. So that is, if you have a farm, if you have land, we call it puodho. That's land. So if you have land, you can say an kod puodho. An kod puodho. I have some land that I want to start working on. Then adwa chako loso puodho ma mwalo cha. Adwa chako loso puodho ma mwalo cha. I would like to start preparing the land by the river. Adwa chako loso puodho ma mwalo cha. Now, if you want to start loso puodho ma mwalo cha, if you want to start preparing land by the river, there are a few things that you have to do. You have to do slashing. So let me just mention them. You have to do slashing. You have to do something like cutting of trees. You have to do, what else can you do? You have to do digging. So I want to just go into all the details for this type of things. If you want to do them on a garden, how do you say that? Okay. So now let's move on from slashing. Slashing. Now a slasher. You know what a slasher is? That object that you use for cutting grass. Now that slasher is called ofuado. It's called ofuado. Okay, that is slashing. Slashing is called hueto. So a slasher. Let me say slasher. A slasher is ofuado. That's a slasher. Now you also have other things like a garden hoe. A garden hoe is called quer. Okay. Garden hoe is square. Some people say quero, quer. Quer is a garden hoe. Okay? So now, if you want to form a sentence, you can say, please get me the slasher. Kil na ofuado ma ni tok otcha. Kil na ofuado ma ni tok otcha. Get me the slasher which is at the back of the house. Kel na ofuado manie tok ot cha. Okay? Kel na ofuado manie tok ot cha. Now we shall explore digging because there are so many ideas on digging. I want to just do one by one. Now also you can talk about quer. Quer is a garden hoe, and you can talk about it by saying quer ma ne anyiewo ni ber. So this, the garden hoe that I bought is a very nice one. That is what it means, okay? So kel na ofuado mani e tok otcha. Get me the garden hoe that is at the back of the house, or that was placed at the back of the house. Also, cuerna mane anyiewo ni ber. The one I bought is very, very nice. Okay. Now let's talk about digging. Now digging has very many extrapolations. So I want to just go through the extrapolations of digging, starting with the one that is very well known, which is puro. Puro means to cultivate. So if you're digging with the intention to cultivate, then we say I puro. You are digging. Apuro. I puro. If you're digging with the intention to cultivate, then the right word to say is puro. Apuro puodho mondo apidh cham. Apuro puodho mondo apidh cham. I'm digging, I'm cultivating my garden so that I can put in some cham is what? Some cereals, or I can put in some tomatoes or whatever it is. Puro is cultivate. Then there is another one which is excavation. Do you say excavation? Excavation is kunyo. Okay? So kunyo becomes excavation. Okay? That is Aleki KM. Aleki KM, asante sana. Thank you, Aleki KM, for the like. Guys, if you want, please just show your like by just clicking on the like button. It comes to my screen. And you know me, I like things like that, okay? Kunyo is excavation. So, when you are excavating, you are actually kunyo. You don't puro, because puro is cultivation. Then kunyo becomes excavation. So, you would say, nyaka akuny tie yen no oko eka anyalo puro. Now this translates to, I have to first excavate the part that has the roots before I start doing what? Before I start cultivating. Okay? I must first excavate before I cultivate. I must first excavate before I cultivate. So that one you say, nyaka akuny tie yen oko Nyaka akuny tie yien no oko. Eka anyalo chako puro. Nyaka akuny tie yien no oko. Eka anyalo puro. I have to first excavate before I start digging. So now we have clearly demonstrated that excavate and cultivate are two different things. Now, when you're cultivating tuber crops, you know when you're cultivating tuber crops, then there's a word that we use for the crops. For example, when you're cultivating tomatoes or potatoes and peanuts and groundnuts, and you're opening up the ground. I don't know the English word, but when you're opening up the ground, that word is called sinjo. Sinjo or sinjo. Sinjo. Okay? So, that is, you're opening up the ground so that you can get the crop, the tuber crops and the nuts that grow under the ground. You know, when that ground is soft and you're removing the ground so that you separate the ground from the crop, that is called sinjo or sinjo. Okay? Sinjo. Okay? So you will say sinjo, asinjo lowo ma ni e tie njugu. Njugu might not be a Luo word, by the way. That might just be a Swahili word. Asinyo lo mani e tie njugu. So this translates to I'm trying to remove the soil that is on the groundnuts so that I can harvest the groundnuts. Okay? That is sinyo. Now, the next word is called hato. Hato. Hato is when you remove everything including the root. Remove everything including the roots. That's when you call hato. Adwa hato olemogo. Oko. Okay? I want to remove everything. That is hato. Hato is remove everything. Remove everything. That is hato. Then you might want to do a deep digging. Deep digging. Okay? Deep digging. Deep digging is, the word is muogo. Muogo. Muogo is deep digging. Like in agriculture, we used to say double digging. You remember double digging? Now, double digging is muogo. When you're told, adwani ichwad kanyo, imuog kanyo. That means I want you to double dig the place so that it is deep. Okay? But there is that part of, like, you only have to, like, for example, when you're planting tomatoes, you do not want to dig deep. You only want to do a little bit. You just want to do a little bit. You just want to use a stake. Is it? Use a stake to just open up the soil a little bit. Now, that action is called gueno. Gueno. Okay? Gueno is open up just a little soil. So, gueno. That is gueno. Opening up just a little soil, okay? When you... Ka idwa gueno. Dwa pidho nyanya nyaka I gwen wi lowo. So when you want to plant tomatoes, you have to just scratch the surface so that you put the seeds. I hope this makes sense. because Gweno is different from the other thing is called what? Of puro and all that. Gweno is just simply, you just put a little bit. You just open a little bit, okay? Now, if you are uncovering something, when you want to uncover, like there was a shrub or a shrub that you wanted to uncover something that was hidden inside a shrub, then you will say puro oko. Puro oko, that means you are digging so that you can uncover, you can remove it so that you uncover it, okay? That is puro oko. So now let's move on to sowing. We've gone into digging. We've established all the aspects of digging. So let's move on to sowing. And sowing, we shall start by saying the first word in sowing that is important is chuoyo. Chuoyo. So let's start with sowing. There are different types of sowing. So that's why I want to start with chuoyo. And then I want to explain. Now, chuoyo is when you are sowing plants that require tubers or things that you stick on the ground. You know, like things that you stick on the ground. The action of sticking it on the ground is called chuoyo. Okay? So, when someone says, ade chuoyo, cham, or chuoyo. Chuoyo means there are things that are like sweet potatoes. Is it Irish potatoes? Irish potatoes, you only plant them through chuoyo. You take a tuber and then you plant it on the soil. That is chuoyo. That action of taking it and planting on the soil is chuoyo. I hope that makes sense. That is one form of sowing. Now, the other form of sowing is broadcasting. So chuoyo means sticking on the soil. Now, the second one is broadcasting, okay? And broadcasting is called kiro. Now, kiro means you're broadcasting. So when you're broadcasting, you will say a kiro. A kiro. That is broadcasting, okay? Kiro is broadcasting. So a kiro means I am broadcasting the seeds. And that is one form of sowing. Now, there is sowing selectively. Now, the word is luomo. Luomo means you're sowing selectively. You're just sowing, for example, you're sowing on this part and then you leave the other part and you sow, like if you want to plant, maize and beans, but one row you want to put maize and the other row you want to put beans. So what you'll do is you'll luomo. You will luomo. So luomo is selective sowing. Okay? Selective sowing is called luomo. All these is types of sowing. Now there is also diro. Diro essentially means you're pushing. Diro means you're pushing, but also that is a type of sowing, but also there is what we call loader. Loader is also a type of sowing. So to sow can be chuoyo, kiro, luomo, diro, or loader. That is in sowing. Okay? Now let's move on to weeding. Weeding. You know, you've sown. Now you want to weed. So let's just move on to weeding. Let me duplicate this slide. Then I say weeding. So what types of ideas are on weeding? The first type of weeding is called doyo. Doyo. When you say adwa doyo, I want to weed my farm. Adwa doyo puodho. I want to weed my farm. Adwa doyo puodho. That means I want to weed my farm. Then there is also bago. Okay? Bago cham. That is weeding by hand. When you weed by hand, we say ibago. Ibago. Okay? Ibago cham. Ibago cham. Now, when you pull weeds, you know there are some weeds that you have to pull. Like there is a striga weed when you go to the farm and you have to pull it up. That is called guno. Guno hayongo. We call it hayongo. Hayongo is striga. So when you say adwa guno hayongo, you're saying pulling the weeds. Pulling the weed is guno hayongo. That is pulling the weeds. Guno hayongo. Okay? Then there is another one. Also, you can say the weeds itself. Weed itself is called buya. Buya. That is a generic for weeds. Okay? Weed, generic for weed is buya. Weed. Not weed the weed, okay? This is just weeds that you get in a garden. Weeds is buya. Buya is weeds, okay? Now, when weeds are not growing, you have already removed them from the... You know, when you have your garden and you remove the weeds, and then you put them at the side, then those are called yugi, okay? When they're not live, you call them yugi. In a garden, you call them yugi. Yugi. Okay? So that is the weeds. Good. So let's move on. Let's move on to now the weed species. Weed species. I just want to look at 3 of them that are very common. The first one is, there is another one called oluorochieng. Oluorochieng. So weed species, I want to talk about oluorochieng. Oluorochieng is now the Luo weed species. The first one is oluorochieng. Now oluorochieng translates roughly to afraid of the sun. The reason it's called oluorochieng is it's a weed that when the sun is up, it usually looks like it's drooping, like it's not very nicely, like it's not bright. Its leaves are falling, you know, not falling, but how do you call that thing? It droops when it's in the sun. The leaves droop when in the sun. That's oluorochieng. That's a weed species called oluorochieng. It's a weed that droops in the sun, or it looks gloomy when the sun is up, but when the sun is down, it becomes very bright. So that's called oluorochieng. It is a survival tactic so that you don't remove it from the garden, and then at night it eats all the nutrients. The second one is hayongo. Hayongo. Hayongo is you will find it everywhere. If you go to in the Luo. When I used to work in the community, that was one of the things that we were fighting. Hayongo. Now hayongo is called striga. Striga weed. And what they say about it is that it takes about 7 years on the soil. So it has reddish or bluish flowers. Sometimes it has blue, very nice blue flowers, or very red blue flowers, very red flowers, which very, very pretty. You might be tempted to just leave it there because it looks like it's decoration. But it also goes into the grains, and once it gets into one part of your garden, then you should never ever use your garden again for that same crop, because it will not work. Then there is another one which resembles the morning glory plant. It's called obinju binju. Obinju binju. Obinju binju. Obinju binju is one of them that resembles morning glory plant. Then there is a one called ogolo. Ogolo, I don't know how to get this. I'll get the images. Maybe I'll do a video and get the images and share them here. So weeds, Oluro Chieng, there is Ayongo, there is Obinju Binju. There are many weeds. There are others that I've not even talked about because I do not know their English names. For example, there is a weed called Obino, there is Ododo, okay, there is Nyalakdede, there is so many weeds. I'll just look for it's the best way to teach about weeds is to look for the weed and then show it here. So if I look for the weed and show it, then you'll be able to see how you'll be able to exactly relate to what it is. Okay. So that is weeds. So the last part of my presentation is about, I want to talk about which one was it? Good. So the last part of my presentation is about when you've harvested and you want to dry. When you're drying grain, you will say dry all grains. When you're drying grains, we say you are moyo echieng. That means you're drying the grains in the sun. Moyo echieng. Okay? Moyo means dry. So moyo echieng is drying in the sun. Tuoyo means drying up. Tuoyo means drying up. So if for example it's grains, you know, like in when you want to sell maize, there is some moisture content that you cannot sell if it is above that moisture content. So you first put it in the sun, you moyo, and then you have to put it in a machine so that it removes that moisture. And that act of putting in that machine is called tuoyo. Hi, Jeffrey. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for keeping me company, and I really appreciate your work. He says it's news time. He wants to go and see what happened in the world. So the last part is tuoyo. Tuoyo means drying up. Moyo is by air or by heat. Okay? So those are the two words on drying. Now I hope this was engaging to you. I hope you learned something about it. And if you did, I really appreciate. Now for those who are new to our channel, I want to just, as I wound up, if you haven't subscribed, just look for Luo English online. See, like this here, this is us right now. We are live. You see this? Just click on it, and then Now, click on this button here. See this button that says join? Just click on this button and join. Now, the reason I want you to join is so that you can help us to build a channel. Build the channel by joining. You can join, you can choose whichever option relates to you. There is diamond, platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. Bronze is only $1.99. So you can choose that and just help us to build the channel. I really need to financially need to invest in the channel so that we can be able to get videos that children can relate to. I have not been able to do that for a long time because of other commitments, because I also have to pay my bills. So if you want to, please, if you want to join this channel, if you want to help the channel, please click on Luo English Dictionary channel, click subscribe or click join so that you can be able to help the channel grow. That will be one way of really helping the channel to grow. Okay. And with those many remarks, I want to say thank you for keeping me company. And please remember to subscribe to the channel. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, because we had set out during at the beginning of the year, we had set out to get 10,000 subscribers. Get to 10,000. Now we are not yet in 10,000, but I know the year is not over yet. So we still have 7,000. We are at 7,552. And I know that with your help, if you share the channel with your friends, we are able to get to 10,000. So I really appreciate your help, and I hope that I'll see you guys sharing the channel with your friends. So with those many thank you so much, and you have a great place. Aleki KM, asante sana. Asante sana, Aleki KM. Jeffrey, asante sana for keeping me company. John Hawkins, thank you for subscribing. John Hawkins. And Cyril Ogana, thank you for subscribing. Francis Odongo Chebi, thank you so much for following. Nyakwar Nyabuto, thank you so much for following. And who else is here? Sakata Rumba has subscribed. Thank you, Sakata Rumba, for subscribing. Purity Mochama, thank you for following. Miriam Stella, thank you for following. Eagle Superstar Official, thank you for subscribing. Nicole Onyango, asante sana for subscribing, Nicole. Suleiman Haji Suleiman, thank you so much for following. Brenda Orwa, thank you, Brenda, for subscribing. Brenda Orwa, thank you for subscribing. Billy Ahuga, thank you so much for subscribing, Billy. George Homer, George Homer, thank you so much, George. Ala Omondi, thank you for subscribing. Magolo KE, thank you so much for subscribing. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for subscribing. LWM, thank you for subscribing. Big Man Crystal, thank you for following. And I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next time. I hope to do a stream tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be here at about 12 o'clock. You have a great one, and God bless you. Bye-bye.